everyone. Woo! This is amazing. We are celebrating Christmas. If you don't know it, go to the stores. You will find that out. We are having so much fun in celebrating Christmas. And we're going to be talking about some things that we did in the midst of COVID here at Bethel to celebrate Christmas as well. But I have an incredible guest, Lacie Holtom. Give it up for Lacie. Woo! She's on my team of third years this year, and I'm so enjoying her progress. And I just felt like this would be so important for you to hear her story and to hear the things that she is overcoming because she believes in the power of God, in the power of creativity within her. And if she can do it, you can do it. So welcome, Lacie.
Hi, Theresa. Good to be with you today.
It's good to be here too. It's raining outside, but we have our hot chocolate tea. We have our drinks. We're all set to go. And grab yours if you can, and let's get going. So the first thing is share a little bit about your own personal journey before you came to the School of Ministry 3 years ago, and about what you did creatively. And let's hear what you were like then.
Yeah. If you would have asked me when I was a little girl, what would I want to be when I grew up? 100% all the time, the answer would have been an artist. It's true. That would have been my answer. There was nothing else I wanted to do. And my dad was a banker at one point, and he would have these boxes of scrap paper that he would keep for me because I would draw so much. Like, he would just save them because I needed paper to create with. And I grew up drawing and drawing and drawing. I just loved it. My mom was an art student, and she valued that and taught like myself how to do those things. And grew up with all of that. And when I was 13, I started to paint. I dove into the painting world. I had like a prophecy over me, and just simple was like, well, I guess if they said paint, I'll paint. Keep it simple. I was young enough just to be simple about it, right?
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it so much, and I stepped into like the world of creating, and I've always been a creative. I also started learning guitar and songwriting at that age, although I was super shy, so I wouldn't tell anybody. It was like super shy. I was super shy. And after all of that, I would say when I was 17 and 18, I graduated when I was 17. I started to paint more, and I had like a season between stepping into full-time work and from graduation that I just created so much. And it was more like worship. I would put on some worship in the background, and I would encounter God, and I had like a lot of moments with the Lord. But once I started full-time work, and I've been in church like my whole life, and I've been a part of family ministry since I was 16. So there was just so many things going on that art really fell off the priority list. I didn't know how to value it. I didn't know the significance of it. So it never made the priorities. And I kind of like went away from that as I went towards like revival, and I want to see heaven on earth, and I want to see all these things, but I didn't know how to connect them. So I stopped painting actually for the last about 5 years until I entered into this year now with Theresa.
It is crazy. My journey is so similar because I grew up, my mom is an artist and taught art, and I grew up like loving it and was super shy. And that was another language to me, actually. I feel like that's where I felt I could kind of create in my own space. It was very therapeutic as well. And I remember, I did music too because my whole family was in a band. So we did a lot of stuff too. But it was incredible how and again, a lot of you that are watching understand this, like there hasn't been art in the church. And so there wasn't a place for art in revival, which is so sad because if you look at the Renaissance, you see such a high level of creativity with what Michelangelo did, so many other people did as well, to showcase the glory of God. And then bam, we lost that, which is so sad, but God is doing a total new renaissance now. But it's very interesting because if it's not valued in the circle of creativity and revival, it gets lost. So if anybody out there is feeling that, know that God has a heart for the art. We're going to talk about that, and a heart for all creatives to really grow in what they're called to be. And God he's a master artist himself. He does art for us every day. I mean, we're looking at snow now on our mountains. Yay, Jesus.
Yes.
I know, it's because that's who he is. He wants to create something for us. And that's what we do as well as artists and creatives. But as you started out this year, as we started out this year together in third year in September, you began this journey of creating, and you had these belief systems because it's so funny, like that were so counterproductive to you believing in valuing who you truly are. So share with our viewers because a lot of people are probably going through the same thing.
100%. Yeah, when I walked into this year, I had no idea what I was getting into. I had no idea what Teresa's world looked like. I just thought I was going to help make it work. I was going to be the admin. Like I can do anything. I'm gifted like that too. So I honestly, I left all my paint at home. I like own everything. I have all the brushes. I have paint. I have canvases. I have like things I don't use. I have more than I need. And so I brought nothing because I was like, I won't need it. I didn't even bring a sketchbook. I thought it was very foolish. It was very like, I should have anticipated that if I was entering for Theresa that I would need art supplies. So yeah, when I stepped in and we started creating together, I realized I had a lot of like defeating mindsets, a lot of just belief systems that were keeping me from creating, and in perfectionism as well, which can keep us from creating because it has to be perfect, or it's like it's either 100% or nothing, right? So a lot of them that I faced was, or the first thing that really hit me is more of a revelation than it was a defeating mindset, is that art is to be a blessing. And if I keep myself from sharing that, I'm actually giving a disservice to the world. Like the gifts that God gives me, they're actually to serve people.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that God's not a cheap father. He doesn't have refurbished gifts. He doesn't have secondhand gifts. He doesn't have low quality. Everything he has is expensive. So when he gave me creativity and artistic, and even from like a young age, that was who I was, and that's who I said I would be. I will be an artist, of course. Like what else would I be? um that gift, when I realized, oh, by the merit of who God is, this is actually so significant. So when I had that revelation that art is to be a gift and a service to the world, and if I don't give it, I'm actually not using my gifts for the glory of God. That was like kind of what started some of like my thoughts rolling of like, okay, I don't feel like I value art, and I'm a little bit critical. Honestly, I was a little critical. I was like, Mama T, her art heals people, but mine does not. Her art prophesies, mine does not. It's probably just her. It's not the art. I was a little critical, but I knew I was critical. And it's like, it's okay to be critical. Like, it's okay to know where you are because you can only grow from where you're authentic with. So I was hitting defeating mindsets in my head. Like who has heard like, oh, artists starve,
Well,
or yeah, totally, right? Artists starve, or if I do commit to being an artist, I'm also going to have to be working full time. It's just going to be this constant hustle. Like when will I rest? It seems like exhausting before you agree to it. Or like art doesn't look good on a resume. Like how are you going to build a future? All these thoughts just hitting me, or like what's your grown-up job? Art's for kids. Like all those things were inside me and myself. Like I've heard them and I took on the judgment, and I was painting we started a 40-day challenge where we created every day for 40 days. And I was hating it. I was like painting and hating it all at the same time. Like, why is this so personal? Like if I think art is insignificant, it shouldn't be this personal. But like all these emotions were coming up, and for the first 2 weeks inside of it, like the 40-day challenge, I was just really striving. I was like, this is my homework assignment. And I was really, really upset at God and upset at Theresa because I was like, why are you making me do this? I didn't come here for art, God. I came here to like learn how to preach or something, And here I am, like, why am I here? And I called Theresa at one point because I was like, this is unbearable. Like this, I can't handle this. And I call her and I tell her the situation, like how much I'm not enjoying this. It's taking so much energy. It's taking all my free time. I was doing like 2 hours of painting a day. It was like, I have to perfect this from beginning to end. I can't leave it unfinished. It can't be a small thing. It has to be like a painting. And I call her and we talk about it, and she says something, or like you said something that really like kind of turned the key in the lock for me. And it was like, Lacie, you're still trying to do this all on your own. And I was like, whoa, revelation. I wasn't supposed to be doing this for God and for Theresa just to make them proud of me, just as like, hey, look what I made. Look at how perfect this is. And I want your praise. And, perfectionism comes from being praised for your accolades, right? For the things that you do instead of knowing that I am enough for who I am, right? So, like, some of those tendencies were still at play. And, like, when I realized I'm on the phone with her, I was like, oh, I'm not doing it with him. The point wasn't perfection, it was connection. It's not producing something to make money or to look good or anything like that. It was about encounter. So I hang up and I sit with the Lord, and I'm just in my bedroom alone. And recently I started doing blind drawings. So I was like, okay, blind drawings are really, really good. And that's just when you put your pen to the paper and you close your eyes and you just follow the Holy Spirit wherever you go. And you just really don't get any say in what it looks like.
Which is
So
good.
yeah, it's
Good
so
for where
powerful.
you are. Yeah.
It's really powerful, and I have one with me today too. So this is what they look like a little bit. You can see that. So that's pretty fun. And I started doing this with the Lord, and I'm closing my eyes and I'm just like focusing on his presence. I'm just focusing on the spirit. What feels like Jesus? And it's like when you're in worship, you know how there's an appropriate expression in worship. Sometimes you want to raise your hands, sometimes you want to kneel, sometimes you sing, sometimes you be quiet. I feel like it's the same with the pen. I'm following him, like, oh, these circles feel like worship. Or oh, I'm gonna go over here and draw a flower, and this feels like the appropriate expression for this moment with God. And I drew these pictures, and this was the actual one from that day. This was the one from that day.
Come on. Oh, I love it. Yeah.
A little house there, and you can see that the roof is a little, like, off the tilt, and you
Yeah,
have birds
totally.
in the sky and, like, a plant that kinda grows up, as you can see, and God started speaking to me a story. When I opened my eyes, he told me a story about, like, "You've lived in this house that's been so square and so perfectly measured out, and you know all your angles and everything, but it's time to break out of the roof." And he was showing me about the world outside and how it's not perfect and it's not all the square is, it's just everywhere, it's a little bit everywhere. And he started telling me a story, and like these papers are attached, so I had all these pictures I drew with him that day that really, really just changed the game. And since that day, it's been more connection, and I've become a very obsessed artist.
Come on.
um, I started waking up so early in the morning, like 5:30, 6 a.m., just to paint, and I was so absorbed. And I actually, there was some nights I had trouble going to sleep because I was so excited to paint the next morning, which doesn't help when you're going to wake up early.
No, it doesn't. But there's something that you said about it's not about perfection, it's about connection. There's something that we need to have rewired for any kind of creative expression that you're in. If you're doing it to be perfect, you will never enjoy it. And so you will stop doing it at whatever stage, like what happened here, she would have stopped after the 40-day challenge and thought, oh, I'll never do that again. I'll never. And so many people that have gone to art school or they've gone to writing school or to any kind of creative expression place where they've had to be perfect and it hasn't been about connection with God, they in a sense are shooting themselves in the foot because then you just don't enjoy it, but you were created to enjoy it. And that's the part that God wants to give back. And I am so glad you found that. You found, it's like with Peter Pan, you found your happy thought, you found this is what I was born
True.
for, right?
True. And I think with the painting and just creating in general, like it's painful to not be successful. So sometimes we have to redefine what is success. Is success how good I think something looks? Or is success actually connection with God and having an encounter with God? But when you redefine that, you can paint whatever you want. And you know that
Exactly.
when you were with Jesus, that was the success you were looking for. It's changing like those
Yeah.
expectations.
And I think for me too, one of the beauties of being with God in a relationship is that He sees things and people that we will see that we don't see. And so when I create, whether it's for a conference, whether it's to bless someone or whatever I'm doing, and then I see why God wanted me to create that, specific thing, then your aha moment is, oh, co-creating with God isn't just about me seeing something, but it's about God seeing something greater because he has a greater vision than I do, which is so killer. And that's what I want to get into right now. Like, share about because now you're taking a lot of risks and you're doing a lot of creative things. Share about what you've been doing and some testimonies about what's happened because you've taken a risk and you created. Let's hear the good news.
Yeah. Oh, I actually really love risk. Risk makes you feel alive. Sometimes risk can be really spontaneous and sometimes it's intentional. Like you take some intentionality to plan to risk, like prepare your heart. So something I do, since I've loved these blind drawings, I've actually so funny. I've had people like meet me in person for the first time at different places and they're like, "You're the blind drawing person." I'm like, "Yeah, that's me."
Come on.
From our classes and everything, I'm recognized as the blind drawing person. It's really humorous. So I started doing a lot of blind drawings just on small pieces of paper, and I put them in my purse. And now this is my preparation, and it's like an invitation to God too. So when I go out to go shopping or just around the city or different events, I have these drawings in my purse, and it's an invitation for God to prompt me, like, "Hey, like who needs to be blessed today?" So, and I don't like set times to like, oh, I'm gonna go evangelize. I want it to be lifestyle. So that's why I'm putting it in my lifestyle. And so I've been doing drawings, and I had one that was a fly fisher. It looked really good, guys. Like, I'm not trying to brag, but it looked like a fly fisher, and I drew it blind. So I don't know, Jesus, right?
Right, he
And
knows.
he does. He really does. And I was at Macy's doing some shopping, and I was at like the checkout till, and there was a gentleman who was helping me, and I was trying to do like a little small talk with him, like, "Oh, how's your day?" He's like, "Yeah, it was good." And how was like, "Have you been getting ready for Christmas? Has it been busy?" He's like, "Yeah, it's been busy." And just one word answers. Just I was trying to build a little repertoire, and it just wasn't going. So I just decided, I was like, I feel like this fishing picture could be for him. So I was like, okay, he's taking his time, and they had to like go take a piece of clothing away and come back. So we were just standing there waiting for somebody, and I pull it out and I give it to him. I was like, I don't know, like I am an artist. This is how I approach people. This is how I approach people in public. I say, I am an artist and I do art and I like to give it away for people. And especially at this time, I just like to give away hope and just give away encouragement and just make people's days brighter. That's as simple as it is. So I say that to him, and I'm like, this is a fly fisher. I don't know if you can see that. He's like, yeah, I totally see that. And I'm like, I just really feel like you just need to believe in yourself in this season, just have faith in who you are. And I tied it to like, it's all about the wrist, when you're fishing, it's kind of like all about that wrist.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I give him this word, this encouragement. And he was like, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy because I just started fly fishing. And more than that, like I just started to like invest into fly fishing. He's like, it's so expensive. Like you would be surprised how expensive it is. I'm like, I believe it. And he's like, yeah, I really believe in the power of art and I really believe in this. Like, thank you so much for giving this to me. And we continued our conversation,
Oh,
and I
my.
just continued to encourage him. And I think it's funny because I was at Macy's. I wasn't at like Sports LTD. I wasn't at, Bass
No.
Pro Shop. I was at Macy's, and this guy is a fly fisher. It was crazy. And one other story, this one I have like these little cards that I paint on as well. And I put some paintings in my purse. I was down shopping at Winco, and I was like looking for someone. I was like, God, I really feel like someone needs encouragement. And I did a painting that had stars, and stars for me represent like promises and just like the faithfulness of God and just remembering everything He said over our lives. And I see this lady. I see her about 3 times in the store, and she had this like really artsy jacket on. And I was like, that's perfect. I'll just talk to her about her jacket. Like it's amazing. And I go talk to her, and I realized when I was getting closer, her eyes were like bright red. Like she was already teary. I was like, oh no, like what am I walking into? But I'm committed. And I walk up to her and I introduce myself, and she was shopping with a friend. And she doesn't speak English. She does not speak English. And I have like this feeling, I'm like, I feel like I'm on a missions trip right now and I need a translator. So I get her friend to translate for me. And we're having this conversation. I just tell her like, oh, I love your jacket. Like it's so artistic. Like, where'd you get it? Blah, blah, blah. Some small talk. And so I put this picture and I give it to her. I'm like, I'm an artist. I did this painting. I brought it with me today. And on the painting, I also wrote, there is hope above. And yeah, exactly. I just gave her encouraging word about promises and like there's hope and all the things. And she starts crying even more after all this. And her friend tells me, he's like, yeah, she's been going through such hard things. And like she's just felt really broken, and she's translating for me. And It was a really beautiful moment. It was almost a God moment, honestly. One of those moments where you're like, this has to be God. Like, I feel like I was sent to you today. And she was so encouraged. And she asked, like, can I hug you? I'm like, yes, you can hug me. And I give her a big hug. And like, she is like, like hugging me, like gripping me. Like, I don't know the last time she had a hug, but it was like she was receiving healing from that. And I learned that she's a photographer, and I just spoke into that. And it's been really incredible and really fun. And the thing with risk taking is that I really show value for what I create when I give it away. Because if I'm going to give it to somebody, I'm saying I value this enough to give it to somebody because I care about what I give to people. I don't
Yeah,
want to give them, I want to give them the best.
totally.
Um, so that's teaching me even like the significance. And as I create these experiences and keep giving away and have these testimony, it keeps telling me the truth, telling my heart the truth. This is what's significant. Art is significant.
And I think what's so powerful about what you do, again, it's like, guys, it isn't like Lacie is a certain kind of person that can do that. Anybody can do this. It can be with writing, it can be with photography where you write on the back of your photo. It can be anything. Whatever you create has value because you do it with the Papa God and you co-create with him, and it's meant to bless somebody else. I mean, Jesus didn't say, okay, all the stars in the sky I'm creating, but then I'm putting a window over the earth so nobody else can see it. No, he wants everyone to share in what he's created. He does that. That's who he is. He's generous. And in the same way, whatever we create has value, not just through our relationship with him, by what we do, but by how it's going to bless others. So for this holiday season, take some time or during this season and create something to bless somebody, or put it in your purse, in your pocket, and then see what God's going to do to bless it. One of the things that I do every year is I get so excited because we have the holiday feast here at Bethel. Now, if you imagine an elaborate dinner for people that are poor or homeless that cannot afford it, my team does Christmas cards for every single person, a personalized Christmas card with a message from God to them. We put on a whole show for the kids as they interact, where they see Santa. We do hair and makeovers for the homeless and for the poor. We do photos for their family. We have we have entertainment as they eat their dinner. Every single place you look, the presence of God is there because creativity is the way of love. Creativity is the way you feel love. It's the way for your birthday. You get a card, you get presents, you get a special meal. Why? Because it's creativity is an expression of love. And so we do that for the homeless. And this year, because of COVID, I was crying. I'm going, no, to Nasha, one of my team who is now on my team now here. We couldn't do that this year because of the COVID. And so what we did is we did a drive-by where people could drive up in cars, or we could go to someone's house that was poor and didn't have a car and pick them up and take them through all of our parking lots were full of people driving through and hearing about a humorous story about Mary and Joseph and about how they had the baby. And then they would get their cards and different presents and then a meal. And then at the end, they would line up and then there would be a production. And in that production, Lacie did a spoken word piece, which she's going to do right now. And then they would hear the gospel message. And it was so powerful to see so many people come to Christ. But it was amazing. But Lacie, this was a huge leap of faith for you to step out to do a spoken word piece, but share about what you were encountering and what you saw during that time, because you did it 20 times, right?
Yeah, somewhere close to there. Definitely over 12, maybe below 20, but we went an extra hour and a half over my original shift
Yeah, we
because
did.
the cars weren't stopping, so we just kept
Yeah,
going.
I think Nathan said that we had over 734 guests. So we had lots of people. So you can imagine that. But share some highlights.
Yeah, it was a really powerful time. It was my first time performing on a stage for spoken word. I just started writing spoken word in September, but I've been journaling for a long time, so it was just a different expression. And yeah, we saw like vehicles, they all came and parked in front of us and they tuned their radio stations into our audio. And yeah, there was one time when there's probably, I think about 10 or 12 vehicles parked ready for the performance. And I said my piece, and there was the carols and the preach. And I say there's probably about 8 people in that one rotation waving their hands. Yes, they want to receive Jesus. There was one lady in like a blue truck over to the one side. She was weeping. I could see her hands just like not just like, oh, just like weeping, wiping off tears. Teresa, you like, a man got out of his vehicle and you ushered him to the prayer team because he was so excited. He like needed to get out of his car.
Yeah, it was so funny because they were supposed to take their car over to where the prayer team would pray. And so I saw this guy right next to me because I was watching Lacie perform. I saw this guy raise his hand in the car, and I go, wow, that's awesome. We're so excited for you. And then I go, you got to come over and get some prayer. And I thought that they would take the vehicle over, but he gets out of the car. I take Chuck over there. He gets so ministered to. We had creative arts there that they were able to receive, and the gospel message. And there's something about the tangible love of God moving people to see the love of Jesus that they've never seen before. That just, it makes you come alive. And so it was so moving. It was incredible. Oh,
It
man.
was beautiful. I think over 30 people gave their lives to the Lord, which, considering about maybe half the people who came were already Christians,
Yeah,
it was really, really wonderful. It was so good.
it really was. It was an incredible time. And we don't know how many of those children got so touched by it that are going to be thinking about Jesus from now on, because now they understand the story. So there were so many highlights, and our team, they were so humorous, and just their experiences about what they were doing and portraying that the whole message of Mary and Joseph. So, and that's what you want to do. Creativity, it brings people together, but it tells the story of love in such a compassionate way. And so I want to encourage you out there, if you know of somebody who's poor, or someone who maybe has a disability, or someone in your neighborhood, maybe an older person who can't get out, ask Holy Spirit what to create for them, and be that message and bless them by just knocking on their door and saying, excuse me, or like what Lacie said, going to Winco, wherever it is, and really, really touching people, because people really want to do that. But I want you to perform your piece. Woo! You guys are gonna love this piece. So go ahead and perform. Yeah.
I just brought up my phone just in case I forget anything. It's been a few days.
I know.
All right. This poem's called Joy Is. Joy is widespread at Christmas, like a blanket of snow that falls on the East Coast that we all see in those romantic Christmas globes, those orbs we hold before our eyes and we shake to see those sparkly flakes fall here too. Joy is in the hand we hold, and it's in age-old traditions like mistletoe and hot cocoa. And yet joy is not quarantined to Christmas, you see. It's not in the North Pole frozen waiting to unfreeze, or in Bethlehem long ago, or in angels singing Hark the Heralds. Joy is here. It's in me.
Mm-hmm.
Joy is Jesus, and Jesus is more cheer and bliss than your brightest Christmas tree. And it's my God who's my joy, who gave his life for the joy set before his eyes. His good enough reason to die was the face of you and I. Joy is wildly crazy. It passionately saved me. And because of this joy, I live to say that joy is not just on Christmas Day. Joy is Jesus, and Jesus lives.
Come on. Woo! Good job, man. That's such a powerful message about joy and about Jesus and about the power of what we all celebrate, that sometimes we just forget. It's all connected to Jesus and into what he does for us each and every day. I love that one. What in just like in seeing your heart, seeing what God's doing, why is giving such an important ingredient to growing supernatural creativity? Why is it so important to, because we, so many of us, because of what we have lost, because of maybe restrictions, maybe we can't get back home like you to your home in Canada, maybe we can't, whatever it is, but why is giving such an important ingredient of finding Jesus? So share a little bit about that in your own life.
Yeah, I think that giving it's like what I said earlier. God has gave me gifts to serve the world, and I'm actually stepping into my identity. I'm stepping actually a step closer to God when I choose to give in a way that He made me, He created me to give. Now, if we give out of striving, that's different. But when I'm in identity and like giving out of that, that's where it becomes powerful because it's actually authentic love. It's because I'm in connection with love and from a place of love with God, I'm pouring out love to the world because He loved us first that we might love each
Mhm.
other.
Yeah.
And there's just so like we are it's like what you said, the world needs the sons and daughters to be made manifest. If we
Yes.
keep it to ourselves and keep ourselves in our caves and even in intimacy with the Lord, it's still not going to change the world unless we translate that to the world and give it to them and show them like I think the world is so thirsty to see a creative God. To see
I, yeah, I think so too. I think that if I was going to say, okay, to talk to anybody that's out in your city, wherever you live, and say, where do you go to find creativity? I bet you that no one would say the church. I mean, because they don't think that the church is creative. They don't think that the church has a candle on what's possible because they don't see God as creator. They see it more as like what you talked about, that little square box of, well, this is what's expected. I know this will happen in church. I know that there will be a teaching. I know that there will be music. I know that there will be an ending, but there's nothing about creativity. Or, oh, I wonder, they painted that church. I wonder what they're going to create. I wonder what the dancers are going to do. I wonder if there's going to be a spoken word artist. And all of that lends itself to mystery. And mystery is what drew people to Jesus. It was the parables, it was the story, it was the spoken word parable that led them to see who he truly was. It wasn't that he was teaching from the Pentateuch or from some book of the Bible. It was the fact that he was relevant because his story connected with their story. And that's what happens when we do art, when we do dance, when we do reflective stuff, is it makes God come alive. And so we need a new renaissance where the church
Oh,
becomes the most creative place on the planet. I mean, but that's part of my desire. And a lot of you out there, I think, and then we're going to go into some words of knowledge, but I feel like a lot of people out there, in fact, I saw a person named Lucy, and I saw a person who had I don't know if you were wearing something even today, right now, that was like, I saw something like a tan or a brand that you were wearing, but I saw that you had kind of lost your hope. And you were wondering, oh, can I really do art? Can I really find out what Lacie discovered about enjoying art? Because I've always looked at it as having to be perfect. And I feel like the Lord is brushing things off of people, and he's starting to reveal the real you, and the you that is beautiful and that wants to take risks and that wants to create, not because you want to be perfect or to please anyone, but to enjoy God's presence. And so I feel like there's lots of people like that out there, but I saw a specific person named Lucy, and I saw a person who had tan on, that God was saying, okay, take off the old and see who you are. But if you have any words, Lacie, go for it.
yeah, I have two. I saw like a picture of Africa when you were talking about Lucy. I saw Africa and I saw there was somebody in Africa who is just like stepping into this world of creating, stepping into like what does it mean to be creative with God, a co-creator with him in the world today. And I just really felt that um it's like you've forgotten what it was to be alive and like to feel alive inside yourself. I've come across moments this year that it feels like I was a child because I actually was so absorbed with the thing that I was doing, whether it was video editing or if I was dancing or if I was singing. And I was like, my heart is so alive right now. I haven't felt like this in so long. And I feel that sensation for you that God wants to bring so much life, things that you forgot you enjoyed. He's bringing those back to the surface for you. And I just see like a new dawn breaking over you, a new sunrise. Just God is bringing those things into rotation, and the time is now. The time is now, and he just wants to show you how in your heart, like he made your heart to thrive and feel alive, and that you love your life and you love the things you do.
That's so good.
Bless you with that. And then I have just a general word. This painting's kind of representing my season. I feel like so many other people are also, God is calling into this place. So this is my painting. I hope like you can kind of see it's like the ocean's on this side and then it tips. So you can kind of see it's meant to be flat, but then it tips, and there's this boat that's sailing inside of like the stars and just the sky. And God is releasing us and inviting us into this season of promises, inviting us into seeing our promises come true. All those stars, all the things he said to you in the dark, those secret things inside your heart. It's a season of stepping in and diving in, knowing that he is faithful God, and he wants to bring those things to come to pass, and just sailing in that place, letting our kites go up again, hope again. It's so vulnerable sometimes to hope again and like get your hopes up. But I feel this call of God saying there's something waiting for us. If we hope again, it's like grabbing our promises. And just for every like creative out there, this is a time of creating. This season that we're in, even as a global world, this is a time of recreating and like realigning ourselves with God, and really, really diving into what does he have for us, and seeing those dreams and those promises again. So I just like release this over you, like the promises, sail in those promises, get your hopes up again, dare to hope, dare to hope, and put those promises before your eyes, because God is breathing on those.
Woo! And if guys, if any of you are writers, I really want to encourage you. We have February the 5th and the 6th. You can register on theresadedmon.com. We have a writer's intensive where you would be learning about spoken word with Tanasha LeRae, who's on my team, an incredible spoken word artist. You would hear from Brian Simmons, who has translated the Passion Translation, which is an incredible writer. If you love the Passion Translation, he'll be speaking. And then Kevin, my husband, who wrote The Ultimate Treasure Hunt, so many other books, he'll be speaking as well and helping you to grow as an artist. And Jen Miskoff, who wrote Writing Unto the Glory, which is about how to grow as a writer, she'll be speaking, and myself as well. So, and we'll have small groups for you so you can dive into your particular genre of what you want to create. So don't put it off. And there's also an early bird special right now, but don't put that off. A lot of times we go, well, maybe I'll do that. No, I want you to look at 2021 as the year of breakthrough. If you want to be a writer for children, for adults, fiction, any kind of writer, poetry, my art and poetry book should be coming out at that time. That's what we want. We want to give you hope. We want to inspire you and help you gain traction. And what Lacie talked about, learning how to create and write with God, not feeling, oh, it has to be perfect. But no, learning how to create with God is what we want for you. So look that up on theresadedmon.com and give yourself an early Christmas present, and do that because you're going to grow. But Lacie, thank you so much for joining. Yay, you're amazing.
Having me.
I love you, and thank you for that spoken word. That was incredible.
For sure.
So have a Merry Christmas if we don't see you, and know that Jesus is with you and that there is joy. And share this. If you know of a Lucy or anyone else with any of these words of knowledge that Lacie and I gave, make sure that they get that to that person and share this. So we'll see you soon. Blessings on you all. Thanks for joining. Remember, you're born to create.